My friends, this morning's vlog is just packed full of all kinds of stuff. Video clips, little tidbits of knowledge. You're going to learn some random stuff. So stay tuned right after this. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. Today is Monday, October 3rd. And it was chilly here this morning. It was down in the 40s. It's been in the 40s every morning now for the past week, I guess. Getting kind of cool, making me think that one of these days we're going to have that first frost. And once we have that first frost or two, that's when I start cutting wood, because that usually knocks the ticks down. The first order of business this morning is to send a shout out to Thilo Kutt, K-U-T-T, and he's in Germany. Thilo made a very generous donation to the channel here, and I appreciate it very much, Thilo. He bought a song and added a few extra coins to it. Thank you so much, Thilo. I really do appreciate it. We will put the money to good use. You're a very generous person. I had a busy weekend. I got the 2 new cylinders on the Bobcat. And as you know, I also put the 2 boards on the dump truck, so that raised the sides up a little bit. And I was intending to go back there and move about another 10 truckloads of dirt. But you know how good intentions are. The dirt had a different idea. It's really gotten very, very hard now down at the level that I'm digging. And it's really, really hard on the equipment. And so I've decided to just wait and see if it'll rain and maybe soften the surface up a little bit, because it's just like digging in concrete right now. So there you go. That project's on hold for a little while. So it'll probably be next week before I can even think about looking at it again, and hopefully it's supposed to rain between now and then. I did some metal detecting over the weekend. Thought I'd show you a few of the finds that I made. I'm going to show you this first one, and I want you to think of what this is, and most of you will instantly recognize the shape. Be real honest, how many of you said a horseshoe? Horseshoe. Well, actually it's not a horseshoe. I know it's not a horseshoe by looking at it, and literally within just the first second of looking at it, I can tell it's not a horseshoe. And you say, well, if it's not a horseshoe, what is it? It's a mule shoe. Mules have a longer and narrower foot, and these shoes are much longer than a horseshoe. A horseshoe would actually stop about where I'm holding it there. So in other words, this much would be a horseshoe, as an example, and this extra length is a mule shoe. Now, have you ever heard the expression of being worked like a mule, or worked like a rented mule, that type of thing? Well, look at here. See how it's worn on the toe here? It's really worn thin and almost wore all the way through. And you know what that's from? That's from that mule digging his hoof in and working really hard. And on this rocky ground around here, he may have been plowing, or he may have been I don't know, pulling some heavy load or something, and by putting his, digging his toes in like that, that's what wears the front of that shoe off. So you can tell this old mule, he wasn't wearing this for decoration or for comfort. He was wearing this for work, and he wore that old shoe out. Boy, I mean, that was a hard-working mule right there. So there's your first little random tidbit that you learned. That's a mule shoe versus a horseshoe. Let me show you some other things I found while metal detecting. I found a spoon. And you think, whoopee, 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 right? Well, this is not even a significant spoon, really. So why am I showing it to you? Well, I just thought I'd give you another little opportunity to learn something. This is called Rogers Nickel Silver. And I investigated that, and it contains no silver whatsoever. It was really tarnished when I found it, and it's probably pretty darn old. I'm going to guess it's from the 20s or 30s, somewhere in there, and it might even be older than that. It could be quite a bit older than that, actually. But I'm going to guess 20s or 30s. And it's incredibly thin. It's, like our silverware today is much thicker, much heavier than this. This is very light. Nickel silver is what they called it. Rogers nickel silver. On eBay, if you just type in Rogers nickel silver, you'll see tons of these kinds of things. This one is a cheap version of all of it. See the little fancy thing at the top there? If you look at the other ones on eBay, they all have a lot more decoration than this one. This one is really plain Jane, very lightweight. And of course, I found some other random stuff, just little goofy things like this, just lots of trash, tons of trash. But then I found some things that are sort of useful, like this is a conduit nipple or whatever you want to call it for running conduit pipe into, say, like an electrical box. That would be an example. Here is a plug out of an electrical box. These are things that, you know, instead of just throwing them away, I'll put them in my junk drawer, and there's no telling, somewhere down the line on a project I may use those. And here's the other couple of pieces of random junk. This one looks kind of like a bullet, but it's not. It's a sinker. It's got a hole through the end of it. It's a sinker for fishing, and I found that. And then this looks almost the same, except this has got threads on the inside. This is actually the nipple to a sprayer, like, you know, a garden sprayer type deal, one of those pump-up sprayers. And then, of course, I found the obligatory money here. I got a quarter, a dime, and a penny, and this is a modern penny. And once again, you can look at these older pieces of money, and they're really perfect except tarnished. This one, the sides are already rotted off of it. It's just pitiful. Our new money won't be there in the ground much longer. What a shame. Well, that's it on that. Now, I did also put some fish in the pond, and if those little clips turned out, I'll show those to you right now. My wife and my granddaughter Kaylee just got back with picking up the fish that we're going to stock in the pond. So here we go. We've never really tried this before. We'll see what we got to do. Let's see what's in the bucket first.
You can't see.
Oh, you can't even see them.
You can see the catfish.
We got the water from the ponds. Oh, there's some catfish. You can see them maybe. Looking good. Well, we're going to dip them out and start putting them in the pond. Just dip them out, I would think.
You got one.
Got one. Well, I got one on the first dip. I wonder if we shouldn't put some water in there before we just dump them in. Well, there he goes. There's one catfish.
Found another one.
We got quite a few this time. Here's
dead. Nope, he's alive.
3, 5. Here's 5. That makes 6 catfish we're putting in here. They stayed right there in the mud. So here's the hybrid bluegill. I don't know if you can really see them very well. The sun's terrible out here today, and it's really hard to tell what I'm showing or what I'm seeing. But anyway, there's a bunch of them in there, maybe 12 or so. And we're going to go ahead and dump them in.
Actually
20,
20.
4 or 5 right there. Several more. Yeah, there's probably about 20. Yep. So that got them going. It's hard to see them, the mud and everything, but well, that went pretty well. We dumped a lot of fish in here, bass, bluegill, catfish, and a few carp. Well, hope you enjoyed seeing how we put some fish in the pond there. I know I didn't do a very good job filming that, but it's one of those deals when you're up to your neck in alligators, you know, it's hard to remember you're supposed to drain the swamp type deal. So it was kind of hard to operate a camera when we were in a hurry to get the fish in the pond because they'd already been, you know, in those buckets for quite a while, and that was the instruction, was to get them in the pond as quick as possible. That's what we did, and as far as I could tell, they all lived, and I actually did see one of the real small little bass swimming through the water the next day. When I went out there to check on them, I was looking for little dead fish laying along the bank. Thought maybe a bunch of them would have died, but it didn't appear to be that way. It looked like they all made it, or at least if they did die, something ate them during the night. So I think we're in good shape. I Wanted to just say that I returned the mandolin. I just made up my mind that it wasn't anything I wanted to work on, and I sent it back to him, the mandolin that I made, the red mandolin. And I hope he understands. I put a nice note in there trying to explain why I just couldn't do it. And I'm just, I asked him to just accept it as is or sell it. I hope that's what he does, because I just can't deal with it anymore. But that moves me up in line to the next instrument in line, and this is just a little old silver tone mandolin. See the peg head there? And according to the customer, there's neck issues on this, and I guess we're just gonna set it up to make it playable and fix the neck. I don't really think there's too many problems with it, although you can see a screw in the neck. Somebody's put a screw in there. So we'll probably get rid of that. I estimated it 4 to 8 hours on repairing it, so hopefully that's all there is. Wow, I can tell you right now, there's a huge ski ramp on this. Probably one of the biggest ones you'll ever see on a small instrument like this. Let me see if I can give you an idea how bad it is. Oh my gosh, it's pretty bad. I don't know if you can see that or not. It is pretty bad. It's really, really bad. It's probably 100 thousandths. I think that maybe the neck pulling up is probably what caused that, because the neck pulling up would cause this to bend the other way. Maybe once I get the neck solid and set and everything, maybe we can pull that back down and hold it in place and won't have to do too much more to it. This is almost exactly like the mandolin I learned on. I don't even remember if mine had a pick guard or not, but I know it had these kind of like fake F-holes, where the hole's not cut all the way through there. And I know the mandolin I learned on had that. Now, I think the mandolin I learned on had the square peg head. And mine, I think, was a K or something. Anyway, I bought it at Kmart. Of course, has no relationship to K, but there's some number scratched in the back here. It's got 17,280,426. I think I remember the fellow that dropped this off telling me that had something to do with the military ID or military number. Perhaps the owner, that was his number or something. I'm not sure about that, but if you all know what that is, you can put it in the comments, because I can't recall what he told me now. This came in toward the end of July, so this will be one of the projects coming up that you'll get to see me work on down the road. Well, I'm going to call it right there for today. I've got a lot more stuff I could show you and talk about, but I'll try to save some of that for tomorrow's vlog. We'll see you then.